Hello, everyone. Good afternoon on this wonderful Sunday. I am Judy Ann Chung, and as always, I'm coming to you to share with you different nuggets. Today, we will be talking about emerging leaders, and the profile today will be Destiny Hilliard-Thomas. So, again, hello, hello, hello. Hey, Destiny, I see you're here with me. Perfect. Let me try to bring you in. Okay. Hi, Bob. Hey,
Hello.
guys. Hi, Roosevelt. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Hey, Joan.
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So while you try to get situated, guys, if you can do a couple of things for us, if you can share this live, and also if you can type, what states you're watching us from or what country, that would be awesome. And also definitely share, 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 share. So Roosevelt, Joan, Edward, hello, hello, hello. And Dennis Destiny's here with us. We'll just wait for a second for a few more people to join us. Because I know there was a lot of people on your page that was quite excited about, seeing you today. So I know that was pretty awesome. So we're just giving them a few more minutes to join us.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
So I see Joan. So today, Joan and I kind of held up the line with the offering. We were busy
Oh,
hugging.
really?
Yes.
Aw.
Because
Hey,
I saw her,
John.
so we had to hug each other. All righty. So hi, David. Hi, London. Okay, so see, Joni's acknowledging, right? Yeah. So yeah. Hi, Thomas. All righty. So let's give them one more second, and a little more time to join. Yeah, right. The usher was like, "Okay, keep this line moving." So yeah. Okay. Hi, Craig. Thank you for that. So all righty. Okay, all right. So again, guys, I need to see a few more of you sharing. Please be gracious enough to share for us. That would be great. And in the meantime, also, we will share on our side. So that's what we'll be doing. Give me a moment. So Destiny, feel free to share it wherever you would like to yourself. What though?
Make sure I don't X out of here. Hold on.
Okay. One more share, and then we are good to rock and roll. Hi, Roosevelt. Thanks for telling us. And Greg, the topic that we are talking about today will be emerging leaders, and our profile today will be on Destiny Hilliard-Thomas. And we'll be speaking about leadership and all that wonderful stuff and her passions and the leader she is and all that great stuff. All right, so for those of you that have already shared, thank you very much. So we are getting ready to kick off. Again, my name is Judy Ann Chung. For any of you that do not know who I am, I'm a leadership coach focusing primarily on serving emerging leaders and empowering single women. My passion is to work with you to achieve your goals, whatever those goals may be, professional or financial or personal. It gives me immense joy to support you in that regard. So as Destiny Hilliard Thomas is our emerging leader today. So we'll be talking about her. Destiny is a daughter, a mom, a wife, and in addition to that, she is a manager for academy program and was recently promoted at Job Corps down in Baltimore. I am going to actually let me tell you a funny story. I don't know if Destiny even remembers it. Of course, I know who Destiny is, right? I'll let she say more about herself if she wants to share that part. But I connected with Destiny on Facebook, even though I would see her from time to time. But the way we connected was that somebody had, kind of went after her dad. And Destiny, being as spunky as she is, joined in, and I said, "Oh no, Destiny, stay. You have to represent. Let the members handle it, right?" Destiny, you remember that? So that's kind of how we connected a while back. So I always admired her because she's passionate about what she does, and she is extremely proactive. So from a distance, I would always admire Destiny. So Destiny, I'm going to turn it over to you to say a little bit more of how much you'd want to share about yourself, and then we move on from there. Hey, Allison. Hi, Lori.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Sister Judy, for having me and for seeing me fit to share about myself and what I do and just my position and views on leadership as an emerging leader. So thank you for that. Well, again, my name is Destiny Hilliard-Thomas. I am a former teacher. I've been teaching for the last, I believe, 7 years. And recently, like as she stated, was promoted to the academic manager position at Job Corps, which at Job Corps would technically be, I guess, equivalent to like a principal in a standard school. Previously, I've taught at elementary and middle schools, um, and even interned at a public charter school, boarding school in Baltimore that's between the ages 6th grade and 12th grade. However, I transitioned about 3.5 years ago over to Job Corps and working with students who are between the ages of 16 to 24 years old. These students are deemed what society calls at-risk youth. Most of my students are in need of their high school diplomas. Most of them have either dropped out of school or been kicked out of their schools, have been in and out of jail, just have really strong stories, but they're very tenacious, they're very determined, and they're working on making a difference and becoming better for themselves and for their families. So that's pretty much what I do. I manage a team of we have about 10 instructors, academic instructors on our team. So I'm basically over the entire academic department, focusing on getting the students their GEDs, their high school diplomas, as well as their TABE gains. TABE is the test for adult basic education. So a lot of students come into the program reading at like a 3rd to 4th grade level. And again, our age group is 16 to 24. So you can imagine, the challenge that is. However, we have a great team, a great support system, and we do the best we can to ensure that all students are leaving at a 12th grade level prior to separating from the program. So that's what we're challenged with and what we're tasked with, on top of ensuring that they have cultural experiences, are exposed to things that they may not have ever or will ever be exposed to in certain situations, providing them a different outlook on life, showing them different things such as finances and budgeting, how just because you were passed down, a Section 8 housing doesn't necessarily mean that that's where you have to remain, like going after more and not just following the cycle of poverty, and just giving them a different outlook on life. So that's pretty much what I do. So that's just a little bit of me.
I love how she says, "Oh, that's pretty much what I do." After she's done said a whole mouthful, of what she does in terms of that's the level of responsibility and everything that she has to do. She goes, "Oh, that's just a little of what I do. No big deal, the leader and how it just comes out." All right, but all right. So thank you for that, and thank you for the hearts, and those of you who already shared. Davia, hello. Matthew, hello. All right, so Destiny, obviously, just listening to you a while ago, it's so in you. It was so easy for you to just literally talk about what you do. And usually when someone finds it so easy to talk about, it's because it comes from the heart. And with you, that's something that it's obvious, right? It comes as just who you are. Because as I said, even remember when I would see you earlier, you always will be associated with some child, okay, or young adult or something, right? And of course, I'm saying young adult to you, and you are a young adult,
Right.
but you're quite mature, right? And as I said, your heart and your passion is for me at least, one of the admirable things about you, right? Amongst a lot of other things. So, tell us why do you do what you do?
I do what I do. One, I think the main reason, I guess, that it was put on my heart to work with youth and just the education field, the counseling field, just because of how I grew up, the family I grew up in. All I saw was my parents just helping, educating others, empowering others. And empowerment is a big thing for me, especially female empowerment. That's something that's really major for me. I guess you could say I'm a feminist. I'm definitely not if I see something or hear somebody say a comment that's like, oh wait, as a woman you do what do you mean as a woman? I do, yes, I do this and I can handle this. So even I'm taking a group of my students, if I have, you see it in the workplace, even if I have a group of 20 and I can have, let's say, 15 guys who, again, like I said, 16 to 24, so they're men, and they're like, you sure you good on your own out with them? But I know for a fact, if it was a guy, it wouldn't be that same question. I said, no, I'm good. I hold it down. I got this. I have a great rapport with all the students that, I interact with. I have no issues. A lot of people always question safety and the, environment that I'm in. I've never felt any type of fear. And again, like I said, because I love who I work with and what I do, and they know that. So again, they will go to bat for me if need be. Pretty much I feel like my family has been, I guess, what started that passion or ignited that fire for just wanting to help not only youth or children, but mostly just, like, I guess you could say, is what would be deemed as like the underdog. So I've always just been, like, I guess, a magnet to
Mm-hmm.
those whose stories have been unheard or those who've just been overlooked by a lot of people, even in certain friendships growing up. I don't know why, but it's just always been like a calling of mine. So I think that that's really what started it. And my mother is, as an educator, my father as an educator, pastor, and I just think that that's always what I knew. We always had um, somebody's living in our house. Like, we always had somebody who, stayed, whether it was for 3 years or whether it was for a month. I always saw, like, a help, my parents going to bat for somebody else, saw them going to court to help somebody in a situation. I always saw letters being written. I always, saw tuition checks being written for students, books being paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I always wanted to do and wanted to be that person who wasn't believed in by others at first and who got that phone call later, like, oh, remember that time when you pushed me? I got that job or I got accepted to school. So that's
Right.
something I'm really passionate about. And I would do that with my students as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I think that's really where,
Where that comes
sorry, I
from.
have a little clue, where I got my inspiration and my passion from. And then, of course, going to school for it. So I went to undergrad for elementary education, and then I got my master's in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like intertwine both of those, and I use both, skill sets
Mm-hmm.
with the environment and population that I work with.
Right, right, right. Okay. Destiny, take the camera down a little bit. We're getting the top of your forehead. The other way.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
No, the other way. Go
Oh,
down. Yeah. That's better.
oh, okay. See, I'm
There you
fine.
go.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. I didn't want the whole live to have, off the top of your head. I didn't know another way to tell you, so might as well. It is. It's a
Thank
live
you.
program. All right. So I like the idea that you utilize both, you know, um, concentration in terms of your academia to work with you. And then it also sounds as if to say part of your leadership style is to develop some level of bonding or relationship with the at-risk youth that you work with.
Right.
So then that, and this is what I'm hearing, and you can, correct me, and that affords you the opportunity to be able to lead them more effectively because there's some level of
Right.
trust that's being developed. Okay. All right.
Right.
Okay. So what is it about working with them that motivates you to be who you are in that job?
What motivates me with working with the youth I work with is,
Yeah.
one, just hearing their stories, hearing their backgrounds, some of the situations and scenarios you wouldn't believe. And a lot of times, well, one thing that motivates me specifically is when they're told, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm sharing this with, my teacher or with the academic manager because I've never told anybody this story that happened to me, when I was 8 or things like that. And the fact that I'm a person who's able to, outside of the profession, but as a human being, able to lend a listening ear and able to make them feel so comfortable that they're able to open up with something that they've been holding themselves in bondage for like 10 to 15 years in some cases.
Oh,
So
wow.
just knowing that I'm the one who, in some situations, is able to keep somebody from committing suicide, because that's been something that's been shared from multiple youth that I work with, especially we have a high LGBTQ population. If you're not familiar with that, that's um, lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, queer population. So we have a lot of youth who, we do have some transgender students there as well. So we have students who have um, wanted to end themselves for multiple reasons, being, cut off communication from their families because of, of who they are. So just knowing that, being taking the extra time to, one, listen and hear the story, but to just
Mhm.
help motivate and empower them to, one, keep going and hear there's greater, there's more, there's a reason why you didn't pass away from that attempt. So, just that as in itself is like so, it's just motivating to just be like, wow, even if I have the most difficult and challenging day, that if I can do that to one more, then it all is worth it. So
Right,
I think that's what it
right.
is.
I'm going to, pause for a minute there, because I can definitely feel your heart there. And so having said that, um, how do you balance the emotions that it pulls from you so you do not become depleted? Because you're pouring into the kids, and, you are, you know, a human too, right? So how do
Right.
you balance that? So, like, who do you go to get poured into what has been possibly depleted within your role?
That's a good question, and that's something that is still a work in progress, but I am getting better.
Okay.
I try not to, like, I'm a person who and this is again something I'm working on, because as a leader, you always have to follow,
Exactly.
and you have to follow the example that you're giving others that you're leading. So one thing that's always been a challenge of mine is to open up and, like,
Mhm.
kind of, I don't have a problem being vulnerable with others, but I don't want others holding the weight that I'm carrying, because that causes others to get heavy. One person I do always kind of open up to is my husband. He knows a lot about what I go through and do what I work. I also have a therapist that I go see, so
Mhm.
that's also helpful,
Right.
because again, it's not always pleasant to call up a friend and just be like, let me tell you how so and so told me about them being raped. That's like those are heavy topics. So I don't want to, um, deplete myself, but I also don't want to deplete others while sharing and bombarding others with things. But
Right.
that's something I have definitely gotten better at, but still need to work on. But definitely, I do open up and share a lot with my husband, and, like I said, a therapist.
Right.
So
Right.
that is something
And
that's definitely
one, I love the fact that you said that, because to me, one of the hallmarks of a leader is someone who understands that it is okay to seek help. It is okay to have, whether it be professional or personal, to have someone there for you where you can be vulnerable and, get yourself poured into. Because one of the things that I do know, working with um, the type of role that you do and the type of kids that you work with, in terms of just they need extra. And in order to give extra, you have to have something. But again, we always have, as leaders, we always run the risk of being depleted. So I'm very happy that you're so open in saying that, because I think more people need to definitely be comfortable with saying, I go to a therapist, I go to a coach, I have, a close, whether it be friend or husband or, whoever it is that you have that you can be vulnerable and get put into. Um, and I also love your sensitivity and your consideration in terms of you were, um, you were definitely concerned about, okay, I just don't want to go to any and any person and then dump on them too. So it also, again,
Right.
speaks to your heart in terms of how considerate you're trying to be. So, those are just awesome qualities. Um, hey guys, so just to acknowledging some of you guys here, Monique, Robbie, Daryl, Paulette, LaJoy, Michelle, Rita, Peter. If I've missed anyone, my apologies. Guys, can you please go ahead and share and also tell us where you're watching from? I saw someone was watching from Norway. Laritza, awesome. This is the first Norway person that I've had, I believe. I've had the UK, Nigeria, but this is the first I've had a Norway person. So thank you, and please share. And yes, Allison, very impressive. Okay, so let's move on from there. So in terms of the motivation, one of the things that you mentioned, how you grew up in terms of your mom and your dad just being someone that always poured into people, and there were always people at your home, right? I can relate to that one, by the way. I always have to be telling some kid in the summer, can you go home? So I definitely can understand where you're coming from, because my mom obviously was, she's a teacher and a principal in the school system at one point. So yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
can relate to that one, yes. And I didn't like them at my home.
Oh,
Like,
really?
no,
Yeah, I love a
no,
house school.
no, because I had to share my mom. And my dad was like, go away, not that it happened anyway. I mean, they're welcome to stay, but I'm just saying, as a child, I was like, go away. I
Right.
want my mom, right? Yeah. But anyway, okay, so just to talk a little bit more. So in terms of, if you well, let me say this. If you were to describe your leadership style, how would you describe that?
I would describe it as, I guess you'd say like a democratic leadership style, like participative. I like to include, so I always tell my team, like, I'm like, we're a team, because I have one instructor, he always comes up, he's like, hey boss, because, just 2 months ago, I was an academic instructor as well. I was like,
Right.
please don't try it. Like, no, I said, we are all a team, we all a team in this department. Like, I'm no different. I'm not higher up. I'm just the one who has to go to all the meetings and make sure everything runs smoothly. But we are all, here for the same purpose, for the same
Mhm.
students. But I know he's joking, but I never like a lot of people in quote unquote power always try to separate and identify, like, no, I'm the one who has this title, you're the one who's under me. And that's not something I've ever been okay with. So the type of style that I prefer and what works best for me and the team that I work with is basically more like a democratic style, as I stated. So your input, my input, let's see what works best. If we try one, it doesn't work out, then here's some other ideas from our bucket. Um, you know, um, Definitely, of course, holding people accountable. That's, of course, I have to do that. But knowing that whatever, I'm expecting of you, I'm gonna do too. So, for example, we were doing walkthroughs, and we had one area where it was like the bathrooms were a mess, the classroom was a mess. I'm like, this can't happen. So we actually had a substitute at that time, and the substitute, she's there every day though.
Mhm.
And she started helping out cleaning out, and I'm over there with a couple students scrubbing toilets and mopping floors. So that's just the type of style. I can't expect them to do something that I'm too high up to do, and just
Yeah.
say, oh, this needs to be done, and when I come back it's done. That's not my style. That's not even outside of management. That's just not my personality, period.
Mhm.
I'm always the friend who I come over your house and I'm like helping fold your clothes and straighten up and things like that. So I'm definitely, my leadership style is to be all in, all hands in the pot. And we don't see any differences in whose hand is who. You just know that there is, somebody who's monitoring and making sure everything's running smoothly, but that all voices are heard and that
Mhm.
everybody has an equal say. Of course, again, there's a final say, and that's my position and job to, have the not final say, but to just say what, something is or isn't working. And it's also theirs to voice if something is or is not working, because again, I'm no longer in the classrooms. So I always, as an instructor, especially when I was teaching fifth grade, we always had to do every week SOLs, and we had what was it, benchmarks and all these different tests, and the people who were instructing us to do this had never even taught before. So we have students who are tested out like they are done, but it's like overkill. But again, they're pushing and pushing all these tests, but not realizing that these students are humans. Like they're 10 years old and they're, they want to have differentiated instruction and they want to move around, they want to do this, but you're preparing them for a test and then all these new things that come. So I never want to be so far gone from the actual team or people who are actually um, doing or I guess providing the instruction or providing what changes are being made. So
Mhm.
again, type of style I have, all hands in, including mine. And we do this together. We make changes together. We bring ideas to the table. We see what works. We listen to all ideas and all suggestions and all dislikes, and we're all on one accord.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Um, there are, there will come that time where even though we have a democratic leadership style, there's going to be that one that is going to challenge one day.
Yeah, of course. Always one.
We can best
Always
believe
one.
that. It will happen, and that will definitely be another area of growth. And we say,
Right.
how do we then manage that? How do I then feel comfortable that I am indeed in authority and will have to exert it at the appropriate time if need be,
Right.
right? So yeah,
Right.
totally understand. Okay. So, and it also ties back into what you had said earlier when you said part of your style in general, even with the students, is to create that level of trust and that level of relationship. And
Right.
that also seems to help you. Okay, fair enough. All right. So, um, let's go to a fun question. So,
Okay.
not that the others wasn't fun, but let's just make it more fun. Okay. Um, Allison says, "Ain't that the truth?" Yes, you will be
I,
challenged. Yes, you will be. Okay.
yes.
That's right. And Allison should know. Allison is she's the owner of a law practice. So of course she
Oh
has
wow.
tons of different attorneys that's rolling up into her too. So she will know. Okay. Um, Alrighty. So let's go to a more fun question, I should say. So, if location and money was not an option as a leader, where would you be? What would you do?
Where would I be? So if location, well, one thing I would say, I always want to live in Atlanta. So I love Atlanta. I would love to set up a nonprofit in the Atlanta area, as we have
Uh-huh.
already started one in Baltimore, but I would love to do that in Atlanta. I would love to start a nonprofit similar to Chucky's Angels, but in Atlanta, I just would want to do something for young girls
Hmm.
to motivate and empower them, to provide, um, them with how to use their voice.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of times, the I see so much anger in our young ladies. Again, it's rightfully earned because a lot of their stories are just, you wouldn't even believe. And
Right.
as women, we're told and taught to keep it in, and men are taught they're able to have aggression. So of course we see the aggression in the men, and working on shifting and changing that and having them have better outlets. But with the women, there are so many verbal and physical altercations because there's so much bottled up pain within them. So I would love to just start a program in Atlanta with young women and young girls, equipping them with the necessary tools, as well as empowering them to go out to their friends and the next generation to do the same, the information that's been imparted to them. So not just to empower them for themselves, but for their communities,
Okay.
and teach them the importance of your voice, the power your voice has, and the power of the tongue, and what you say is like can speak life and death. So why not speak more life? We had one instance where this couple was arguing. She's like 16 or 17 and he's 18, and she's pregnant right now, but she's pregnant with somebody else, not her current boyfriend. And she said something to him. They were getting into it, and she said, "Oh, well, you know what? Well, that's why your mother's dead." And that was just and mind you, he held his mother in a pool of blood and watched her die. So just to know, like, she was so disconnected from, it's like she was so, I guess, heartless because she wanted to win that argument. She wanted to win that situation, but she had so much hurt on in her within herself that that was the best thing that she could say, because whatever he said had hurt her so badly that it was like, oh really, well that's why your mother's dead, so he literally, like, it took everything for him not to physically, react to that situation, because that's something that is still, he's definitely not over
Yeah.
that, so,
Yeah.
and it's pretty recent. So I definitely think that us as young women, we there's so much work to be done, so much pain that we're all carrying. Some pain we are carrying, we don't even know we're carrying.
Right.
We don't even realize the generational baggage that we have and that we're carrying, and the secrecy that we're carrying, because we were told we're, so and so will go to jail if we say this. And so a lot of that weight, that, was caused by many people who we love, is being carried by women. So it's causing the shift and just this, all this aggression and anger. So I definitely would do something on a day-to-day basis with that, as well as run Chuckys Angels on a
Okay.
full-time basis. So I guess between Baltimore and Atlanta would
Okay.
be, I guess,
So,
ideal if money and location wasn't a to get back to the question that was
um, um, I saw a caller say something here. She says, we were just talking about the gender differences with anger on our Talk Tuesday, so on point, Destiny. So just so everybody else knows what caller is reference to, Dr. Cook, actually. She has a Tuesday Lives, and her topic last Tuesday was on anger. And so we said exactly what you said, especially Allison, who's on the call or
okay.
on the live earlier. And she said, basically that, as you said, men, they were more taught to, let out that aggression, versus us as women, we hold it in. By the way, Dr. Cook, just so you know, your husband says, next time, do not debate with me today. So I told him I was debating with him in love. Just so you know that, okay? So, yeah, because we had so Allison and I was on a similar page, and then in terms of the men on the page, they were saying something slightly different than we were, and we said, no, in general, that men are definitely taught to let out that anger, etc., etc. So, okay. So initially, the question was, what would you do if you had that money? So even with all that money, I still hear your heart coming out about being able to help, the underprivileged youths, etc. And you also mentioned your nonprofit. So I
Yes.
think this would be the perfect time for you to tell everyone about that, because I'm sure they've heard the name, and now they've heard the name. I'm laughing with caller's comment, right? So they've heard the name of your nonprofit. So I think this would be the perfect time to plug it. So you would like to go ahead? Sure.
Okay. So my nonprofit is a 501(c)(3) in Baltimore. It's called Chuckys Angels. It's named after my late best friend, Charles Barnes, aka Chucky B. So basically, we provide students in the Baltimore area with educational resources and job training, such as how to write a resume, how to do cover letters. This is how, what's appropriate for an interview. Most recently, we were at Gilmore Homes, which is one of the Baltimore City housing projects, to do a workshop there. We do things such as book bag giveaways, where we gave away a little over 100 book bags filled with school supplies,
Mhm.
free haircuts for, Baltimore youth heading back to school. Um, Thanksgiving, we provided not just youth, but just those in need in the Baltimore area, with a Thanksgiving meal. It was actually on Thanksgiving Day, which was important to me because there's always so many different activities and giveaways for Thanksgiving, but I wanted to do something where we actually sat down and ate with them, so that it wasn't more of like I guess seemed as such charity, but it was like, look, here's, me and my family were here on Thanksgiving Day, not the day
Mhm.
before or after. And, engaging with you, talking with you, and actually just not saying anybody else who does anything is not right or human. This is just something that was laid on my heart to do
Right.
on the on the day, and just to have them come in and eat a full course meal with the Baltimore community. So it was at Frederick Douglass High School. If anybody's familiar with Baltimore, it's right across the street from Mount Darman Mall, which I'm sure if everybody's familiar with the Baltimore riots that happened a couple years ago, Mount Darman Mall was the mall right there. So that's a really, rough area with a lot of needs. So those are just a couple of things that we do. We're working on building more partnerships so we can have a larger impact in the community. And I also actually include a lot of my students with the work we do. So when we sent about like 16 or 17 boxes to Houston for the hurricane that occurred last year, those youth in the pictures, those were a group of my mentees that I work with at Job Corps, and they always are willing to help and do, whatever to assist in anything that have going on, that even if it's outside of Job Corps. And I also, always want them to see that there's always somebody who's doing worse off than you, and there's a way you can help, even if you're in a situation where you're the one needing help as well. So I always try to use that as like a teachable moment, and to just show them, just different things that that they can do, so that even small things that they can do in the community.
So if someone wanted to donate to your non-for-profit, how could they do that? You want to share that?
Yes, they can go to chuckysangels.net. That's ChuckysAngels.net. So chuckysangels.net, and when you go, you click on the donate tab, and it's through PayPal.
Okay. All right, great. So guys, as you can hear, where Destiny just gave her non-for-profit organization, and you can see it obviously, she, her and her team obviously do a lot. So feel free to donate there. Towards the end, we'll have Destiny drop the link within the comment section. So feel free to do that, because obviously it's a worthy cause. Oh, okay. Allison already did it. All right. Thank you, Allison. Okay, all right. All right. And so did Dr. Cook. And I'm seeing the conversation going back and forth with Dr. Cook, Allison, and Rod, even though he's not on the live directly. But Carla, tell Ron that, listen, we show support him, and I agree with what Allison is saying, and he's definitely on track. We're with him. It's okay. So yeah. All right, guys. So Destiny, so thanks for sharing that with us. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, based on what you see for the next generation of emerging leaders. So in my opinion, emerging leaders can be younger than you, it can be your age group, it can be older, it could be my age group and even older, right? I always make the comment to people, it's like, how old was Moses, when he was tapped on his shoulder, right? So emerging leader can really be at any age. But working within your realm and what you see now, what do you think would be key in developing the next generation of leaders?
So what I think will be key in developing the next generation of leaders, one would be to impart the importance of whatever they're being led to. So actually identifying what it is that they're leading others to do or to become, and to get something that they're truly passionate about. I think it's key for I guess both generations, so the upcoming generation as well as the generation above me, the baby boomers and the millennials, and then I don't know what the generation behind me, I don't even know if they have a name yet, but
I don't even know.
But to just kind of, there needs to be more open discussions and a common on a common level, on a common ground. I feel as though like the generation that my dad comes from, my mom comes from, the baby boomers, there's a lot of, and I hope I'm not offending anybody on here, but there seems to be a lot of, I guess, I don't want to say the word pride, but there's a lot of not wanting to like pass the torch. So it's a lot of, well, this is what we did, this is what, and you guys are just, I hear a lot of like negativity with what the following generations are doing in respects
Mhm.
to, there's no leader. Even when you have, for example, with all this going on with police brutality and everything, with just Black Lives Matter and everything, there's so much negativity from, I guess, um, the baby boomers generation, so to speak, about how, well, in their day, the civil rights movement, but however, in my opinion, they're, I'm not saying they're compared to the civil rights movement, because I think that's kind of like it's unprecedented. Like there's nobody who can really, no group or individuals. There's no Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer. However, when people are trying to step to the plate and
I am losing Destiny a
oh,
little
it
bit.
just got paused.
Okay, I think I got you
Can
back.
you hear me? Okay.
Are you
Okay. Yeah, it was just
okay? Hopefully you're not losing signal nor battery strength. So plug in if you are,
okay.
so we don't lose you.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. My battery is good, so I'm not sure, but it just said pause. But okay, as long as you can
Okay.
hear me.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's, any good that's trying to be done, or it seems like rising leaders, even from like a national standpoint, kind of gets downplayed as though it's not good enough, or as though not enough is happening, or it's not the
Mhm.
real thing, it's not legitimate. So I think that there needs to be just kind of on a larger scale, there needs to be conversations and cross generations collaborating and saying, because the leaders who are part of the civil rights movement, they're still here, live and well, and still advocating and part of the movement. So I feel like there needs to be more conversations with the new, there needs to be unification. I don't think a lot of that is happening. So in order for the upcoming generation to actually be able to take a part and take a role in
Mhm.
advocacy, in making change, law changers, lawmakers, even the small changes that have been made were due to different protests that were occurring because of, let's say, Sandra Bland, and the fact that certain people were even brought to, not the justice wasn't served, but the fact that certain police officers were even charged with something was due to young people and their voices, and the
Yeah.
fact that they were relentless and they were willing to go to jail. They were willing to, be tear gassed and things like that. So I definitely think that there needs to be, um, I guess we can learn a lot from that generation. However, they have to be willing to want to pass the torch and to share the knowledge and the power and the struggles that they've endured, because
Mhm.
the same situations are occurring. Yes, we're able to still use the, white bathrooms, or there's no code on it, but a lot of things that were experienced are still enforced. So I think that that's really important for the next generation. I think the fact, if they felt more accepted to do more, I think you'll see a whole group of people standing up to the occasion, more so than you do now. Because when, again, goes back to, even when someone tells you what you can't do, you either have an option. Those are the people who are either going to prove them right or
Mhm.
prove them wrong with full force. So again, it's the same situation like this. They're either going to buck against what the people say, or they're going to just do nothing and continue to let our communities crumble and not really make any strides and changes. So I really think that that's happening, because the older generation, they're phasing out soon. So we're going to be, it's at a point where it's it's going to be at a standstill. Everybody always says, "Oh, there's no Malcolm X of our generation, and there's no Martin Luther King." But one, it can only be that if people identify them as that. And then another thing is, you don't ever want to have to compare or try to fill somebody else's shoes. There can be another, let's say Michael Williams, or any name that is not known
Right.
now can become a name. But I think we're so stuck on the fact of how great these the people, people before us were,
Mhm.
that either, I mean, I know they tried to put the, on President Obama, kind of like, for, President Obama, he is the light and he's the next, but he's one, and he, again, empowers and helps young people become leaders. Both he and Michelle Obama. So they're doing a great job at it, but I think that it still needs to be a larger population of the older
Right.
generation that actually embraces the youth wanting to continue and take the torch and make it their own, and not just emulate, but just to make better and do better,
Right.
and just continue on.
Okay, okay. So thanks for that. Let's go to some comments here. So Lisa said, yes, find your passion. So I like that comment for a lot of different reasons because I mean, as a coach, that's one of the things that I've worked with, whether it be, emerging leaders or with women to do. Because finding your passion will ultimately lead you towards your purpose in most instances, right? And like we can hear it in your voice, right? You're definitely in your calling. That is definitely what you should be doing. You're very passionate about it, and that's something that you have worked, whether it be to your organization or even to physically what you do day to day. It is exemplified within your life. So I do agree with that. Now, to come back also to what you were saying about not with not being able to, with the older generation, being able to say pass the torch, as you said, right? I do agree sometimes because yeah, you do hear a lot of talk about how this the civil rights movement, etc., and it's no disrespect for it, and it will never be taken away from it. But
Right.
I think what we saw in recent times with how the younger folks have stepped up to the plate, I don't want to necessarily, pull in all the different tragedies, but it's part of life. But we saw where high school students made a difference multiple times. So I do think that the idea of what the ideal leader looks like, I think that dynamics, whether we like it or not, is changing and changing rapidly, right? So I do agree with you that there needs to be more cooperation and more inclusion in terms of the willingness to incorporate, the younger generation's idea to the older generation ideas, and then pull from which one works best and what can be melded into a new path, because what's past is past, and that's what it is. Right? It may influence the future, but at the same time, it is very clear that our younger folks definitely have a lot of great ideas and a lot of passion to go along with those great ideas. So utilizing our experience together, I think, would make us, a lot stronger. So Dr. Cook also said, you were right, Destiny. The reluctance to include the younger voices is crippling to the growth as a whole. Then she further said, I think as people get older, they don't want to be irrelevant and they hold on to roles, which is very true. I saw that when I was a young person, but Carla, you're still young. What are you talking about? And at one point decided not to volunteer for an organization that I had been involved with because of that. She says, we need tables with, at the tables, we need tables, I guess you mean we need voices, all voices of all ages working together at the table, because every member is valuable. Young people need elders as mentors, and the older individuals must make room for new voices. Absolutely. And I actually believe, as a leader, that it's always very important for you to have a much older friend, right? A friend your age and a friend younger than you. I believe that is like the perfect combination. I know some people tell me nothing is perfect, but that's my perfect. And that's one of the reasons why I love the elderly, because you pull so much wisdom from them, and they've gotten to the stage of life where they're not trying to impress anybody. So they tell you exactly as is. And that's really, for somebody, that's what you need oftentimes, the truth, not prettied up. And then you can help work with that. And then you can pull from their expertise to help solve some of the day-to-day issues, or even even if not solve anything, but just making things better. So I definitely like that. Hi guys, for the guys that I haven't acknowledged yet, just so you know, we are here speaking with Destiny Hilliard-Thomas, and she is our emerging leader profiler today. Um, so for those of you who haven't shared and you've joined us, you know, a little bit later on, feel free to listen to the replay and then also go ahead and share this live. Alrighty, so what are some of your success stories that you've experienced so far, whether it be Job Corps, whatever you want to pull from?
Okay. Well, one, it's funny you asked because so today I had a message from a former student. So Darius is from West Baltimore, and he was one of the students who I took on the Morgan State trip, not this month, but last June for Men's Month. We did some activities, and we took a trip there, and he's one of the students who gave a lot of people problems and was not we weren't sure if he was going to complete the program the right way, but him and I clicked, and I was actually his girlfriend's mentor, so that kind of automatically like adopted him. So so he's like, I call him my mentee-in-law, but like as like an inside joke. But so he texted me today. He said, "Hey, how are you doing?" He actually said, "Hey, Miss Thomas, what's shaking bacon?" That's like another insider, but he said, "Hey, Miss Thomas," and I was like, "Hey, Darius, good to hear from you. How are you guys doing?" And he said, Tanae and I are going to college, and just like the feeling I felt when he said that, so I'm like about to get emotional, so I'm gonna stop. So yeah, that was something that was really like meaningful.
Right. Well, I'm gonna read some comments to give you a time to recollect yourself, but
to get myself together.
Right. But you know what, Destiny? The truth is that being a leader and being able to emote and being able to connect with people, it empowers you to influence people, right? And if you're a leader and you can't influence anybody, well, you're not a leader. Right? Because that's one of the core things of what a leader does, right? They influence people. So the fact that you're able to influence this gentleman to go on and to go to college, and not only him going to college, but him and his girlfriend, right? And
Right.
I remember talking to you, and well, not talking to you, it was our voicemail, or electronic way of communicating, right?
Okay.
So I remember listening to what you said, and one thing that struck a chord with me was that you said you not only want to train the students, to improve, whether it be their GRD, their language, mathematical skills, etc., but you wanted them to be able to take it out in the community so that they can turn around and impact the community in a positive way. So I really do think that that in itself, that you are actually sowing legacy at such a young age, right? Because you're taking what you've taught them here, but you're also empowering them not just to use it for themselves, you're empowering them to be leaders into their communities. So it's almost like the leadership that keeps on giving, all right, to go out in the community to share it there too. So, very commendable. So Allison is saying, let the emotions flow. Hey, listen, that shows us, that lets people connect with you in who you are. So don't worry about that. Vulnerability, in my opinion, is strength. So anyway, she says, you did something powerful with your talents. You helped young people, and their imprint will forever change the landscape of our world. That's awesome. See, right? And then Constance says, to influence, to see beyond their issues, and to feel the passion is so much a leader. Absolutely. And Carla says, Destiny, you rock, proud of you, right? So don't be concerned about that. Okay. All right. So we're coming up a little bit closer. So I'm just going to invite you guys. Is there anything that you wanted to ask Destiny or ask myself before we get to our final minutes here? I'm going to leave that open to you, but feel free to type them in the comment section. But guys, I hope you see that one of the reasons, as I said, with me being a coach, wanting to work with emerging leaders. So Destiny here is she's like the poster. I don't want to call you poster child because you're not a child. She's like the poster emerging leader, where there is just so much that she can offer in terms of helping the next generation. And the truth is, based on what she has said, she's also has the influence to impact even my generation older than me, because she can help to share her knowledge of what she's experiencing there, with whether it be underprivileged youth or even people who are not underprivileged, but clearly she has that passion to do so. All right, so we got a question. What goals do you have for your future impact on these youth?
Basically, I guess the goals that I have, one would be to equip the youth that I work with to, again, like I stated to Judy previously, was to have them bring what I've imparted into them to the community, and to just, like she said, continue and allow it to keep going. My goal is
Right.
for all of the youth that I work with, for them not to return to jail, for them to not continue having children if they already have them, or if they don't, to wait until they're established in their careers. My goal is to, continue getting these text messages that I got today. My goal is to attend graduations of my students and not funerals, because as you saw previously, we lost 2 students earlier this year. So I guess overall, my goal is to just make sure that no matter what route they take, that they remember something that, not even just myself, but something that somebody who wanted to speak life to them, they remember that when they're getting ready to make a decision, that they just have it in the back of their ear, like, oh my gosh, what will Miss Thomas say? Miss Thomas gonna knock me out if I say this, or if I do this, or if I make that decision. So, that's just really my goal, is to, one, make sure that all of my youth stay alive, and then that they become successcul, and
Right.
that they inform me of their success, so I know and
Right.
can
Right.
share in that with them.
Right. So we are going to take the one last question, and so in terms of those goals, I have a funny feeling that you have even, because it's obviously would be, continuously that you'll get those success stories, because I know you're pouring it into the your kids a lot, so that's awesome. This is a very important question, and one that I love the idea that Dr. Cook does ask. She says, "How come those of us that are seasoned help you, and specifically to ensure younger voices are heard?"
I think one way would be for those that are like yourself, Dr. Cook, and people who see the need for it, to, one, share that with those, with your peers in your generation. One, because it seems like a lot of people in that generation are so hardened to change, and
Hmm.
hardened to go, so to speak, even though it wouldn't really be relinquishing any type of power. But
Hmm.
I think when their guard would I think their guard would come down easier from somebody who is more similar to them than coming from somebody in a different generation. I always share this with my dad. Like, that generation, it seems like the voices of anybody younger is like, it respect is a big, I guess, is really, I guess, big in that generation. I don't mean respect as in the way of, like, you know, I want respect, I give respect.
Right.
But when I say that, I mean there's no questioning, there's no anything from anybody younger. Like, you just don't know anything. You're just kind of like, you stay in a child's place. Like, that's like the mentality. So
Hmm.
even when you hit 30 years old, and the person who was, 20 saying this to you when you were a child, they're now like 50 or 60, and it's still that, you stay in child's place, don't question, don't say anything. So on the back end of that, me being, I'm the youngest person, like, in my department, and I'm the manager. I have people who are in, I guess the oldest would be 50. She's already retired. She's actually the substitute who comes every day. I think she's 59. And then behind her, I have another instructor who has a son who is older than me. So, I'm the youngest one in my department. So we, have had that challenge at some point. But again, like I said, I have a really great team and we work well together. So it's kind of been, we all have an understanding and it's kind of been, we don't really deal with that and as much anymore. Kind of like the age differences. But I think that with the baby boomers generation specifically, if those who are open-minded can begin speaking and sharing with the closed-minded. Hey, Fasika, this is one of my former students right here. She's from Ethiopia and she's on live. Hey, Fasika. So I think that that's important to help get that guard down and just share. People who are closed-minded in any situation tend to listen more to those who they see as their, like-minded or something like that. So again, if you have somebody who is a hardcore Republican, they're not going to listen to somebody who's coming with, these democratic views, so to speak. But if they have somebody who is in their same party, but who says, no, listen, we really got to get gun control under hand. Let me tell you this, so I think that would be important, Dr. Cook, to start the conversation within or amongst yourselves, and then also to begin having these roundtable discussions. We could do Facebook Lives with, cross-generational lives. I really think that Jada Pinkett, she does a red table with her mother and her daughter. So that's 3 generations right there, all different ideas, all different time periods that they grew up in, and all different views and values. But they have one mutual respect for one another's experiences and things like that. So if we all can get on that page and that accord, then the mission is clear, but the way to get it complete is what, needs to happen. So I think that would assist. And I think that that's what we need from the older generation, or no, the seasoned generation.
I mean, I know I'm included in that too. So, I mean, I have no problem. Seasoned, older, whatever. Don't bother me that one bit. You gotta get old sometime. It's a number. So don't worry about it. All right. So, I actually, if you notice, we just had an action point here, right? So that question was asked, and I think the great idea that you actually just voiced was, to have that similar roundtable wherein we can, have that cross-generational conversation. Maybe it could be, as you said, I'm trying not to laugh. Allison says, I'm not seasoned, I don't claim it. Okay, Allison, you are, as young as can be, okay? She's in her 20s, actually, she's a 20-something. Wink, wink. Okay. But anyway, so on a more serious note, so I think that's something that, as you said, is an action point here that we can actually work towards in terms of being able to assist, yourselves and, people like yourself and other emerging leaders to be able to, accomplish even greater things and to influence and to impact even more. So, all right. So we're a little bit beyond our time. So one last question here, and then after that, I'm going to hand it over to you again, because I know you also have another nonprofit, but I would love to give you the platform to share. So, what value do you place on coaching?
I place so here's what I would put for coaching. The way you need a dentist to have healthy teeth,
right,
is how you need a coach or a mentor to be successful.
Right.
So success in coaching correlate like dentists and teeth is what I would say. So I definitely think it's very important. I listen to a radio show, the Willie Moore Jr. show, and he always says, success can come 2 ways, mentors or mistakes. So you either, have somebody who modeled it for you, they already went through, or no, and you can, they can help guide you. That's what they're there for, or coach you. Or you can go your own path and make all the mistakes. You may still get there, but it may take you a little bit longer. So why choose the route of, why self-inflict when you can, go the route? So that's my view on coaching. I think it's definitely necessary. It's important. It's it's needed. So
Right. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So it's also great to hear, an emerging leader like, Destiny definitely, validating what I do as a coach. So thank you for that. Okay. And of course, she says, okay, mentors are mistakes, or success equates to coaching, or coaching equates to, success in terms of the correlation there. And then, dentists and teeth. So that's awesome. All right, guys. So I'm going to just turn it over to Destiny to have the last word. And then after that, we're going to wrap up. As I said, we're a little bit beyond time, but I believe the time that we went beyond was more than valuable spent, because as you can hear, Destiny had a lot to say. And I think it's very important for us to listen to our emerging leaders. So Destiny, over to you. I guess you want to talk about MOVE?
okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in and just learning a little about what I do, and also about ways that we all can work together to continue to progress as a society as a whole, and to make our communities much better. The company We Move, it was actually not a nonprofit, but it's a t-shirt line that I started last year, to motivate and empower women, just with positive quotes, and just inspirational quotes, and kind of like conversation starters, so to speak. But it's called We Move, and MOVE stands for motivate, overpower, value. I'm sorry, motivate, overcome, value, and empower.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, those I feel like are like the core pieces of what women uniting is about. So we should motivate one another. We do and have overcome so much, and are still doing so, one just as a gender, and then within our own individual lives. We need to value ourselves and value each other, and we need to begin empowering each other and empowering ourselves. So speaking to yourself, speaking life into yourself. I talked earlier about the power of life, and life and death is in the power of the tongue. So just kind of those are the components that I just believe in, and that's why I decided to start the t-shirt line. And for more information, well, we are on Facebook at We Move 4, and we're on Instagram at We Move 4, the number 4, and the website is wemove.store, STORE. So for any more information, or if you want to take a look at some of our t-shirts, it's wemove.store. And thank you again, everybody. Thank you for your questions. I look forward to the upcoming Facebook Live, cross-generational Facebook Live, and just tuning in. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your questions. And yes, I think that's it.
Alrighty. So guys, thank you so much for everyone who stayed with us, even over the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, I'm Judy Ann Chung. I'm a leadership coach. I serve emerging leaders, and I empower single women. And as you can see, our emerging leader Destiny was so awesome today, and I'm really thankful to everyone who participated and who also gave us questions. Guys, please feel free to go ahead and share the live again for the replay. I think it was very valuable information shared here. And give us some hearts, because Destiny deserve all the hearts. Okay? All right, guys. Destiny, thanks for taking the time to talk with me today. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.